Well, I guess there's a few things I could talk about this week. And of course, people like Karen Davis have talked about this, that Alabama mayor, that crossdresser who killed himself after he was being exposed in a scandal and involving someone else. And anyway, when he took his life, this Copeland guy, Bubba Copeland, the 49-year-old was revealed to have another identity, this time of a man who liked to dress up as a woman and write erotic fiction. He was a pervert. Um, 18 on Wednesday, this is the week before, 1819 News, a website previously owned by the conservative Alabama Policy Institute, wrote that Copeland used a string of social media accounts under a pseudonym. The outlet also included several photos of Copeland in women's clothing and makeup that the site said were posted under the accounts. You know, you don't post shit on the internet if you're doing this crap. 2 days later, Copeland killed himself. And then, of course, this is NPR. And oh yeah, and he had the Triple Crown. He was a cross-dresser, or maybe Triple Crown. He was a cross-dresser. He was a Republican. He was a right-winger, and he was a pastor. So he had all these boxes he checked. And well, he was an outright perv. And let's see what it says here. He claimed his wife had known of his cross-dressing. Copeland told the congregation on Wednesday at a weekly prayer service that he was under an internet attack. He admitted to taking photos of himself in women's clothing, but added that a lot of things that were said were taken out of context. Sure. The article is not who or what I am, he said, according to a recording of the service. I apologize for any embarrassment caused by my private or personal life that has come out publicly. He didn't have to do it. And 2 days later, and hours after Copeland's death, the outlet released another article focused on fictional stories and social media posts it says were produced under Copeland's pseudonym. It alleged that Copeland had used the names and photos of real community members in these posts without their consent. The article emphasized one fictional narrative about a man's infatuation with a local business owner that turned deadly. And that outfit said that the business owner character was inspired by a real-life person and business familiar to Copeland. So, you know, another one bites the dust. So I am not shedding tears over that guy. And then, yes, women have to really refuse to compete with cheaters because they will back down. These organizations will back down if women just flat out say no to it. And so this was from late October, and so they quit this tournament after being forced to fight men. And it prompted the association to change its rules. Of course, this is a right-leaning publication. But, and that was Redux, too, also talked about it. Female martial artists refused to compete or participate in a tournament last weekend after men took over the women's category. In an interview with Redux, the female athletes expressed a fear for their safety as male competitors have repeatedly infiltrated their sport. Yeah, they're cheating. And especially men that weren't good enough to compete with elite males or men that are over the hill age-wise. Hey, they get a second chance. They could just beat women. It's disgusting. Totally disgusting. And so that caused embarrassment for that organization. And then this, of course, is through the Heritage Foundation, so they're no friends of women. But in another thing that happened where women refused to play, and the writer notes, This happened recently in the world of martial arts. The North American Grappling Association, known as NAGA, changed its policies and again will separate males and females after several females refused to compete against fighters who identify as women, saying they were afraid of the strength of these males. They're afraid of getting killed. During a NAGA tournament in Georgia on October 21st, several female martial artists were pitted against men who say they identify as women. One male, Carissa Griffith, won 4 gold medals in the women's category that day. Another male, Cordelia Gregory, what's with these names, took second place in the women's category. Yeah, they're men. It appears that no protocol existed for excluding male athletes who identify as female, which they're cheaters. They don't identify as female. They're just a bunch of fucking cheaters. Based on testosterone levels or anything else. To compete, these athletes simply could say they are female on registration forms for NAGA tournaments. So they cheated. On a social media account, Jaden Alexander explained that she refuses to compete in the North American Grappling Associations, and this was the same thing as that other article. Because after competing in July against a male athlete who identifies as female, the experience left her in tears. To prove it, Alexander posted photos of her competing against an obviously larger and stronger male. So this was more along that lines, but that's what women have to do, is just refuse to compete. And what is this? Yeah, that's more contact sports, and it's just ridiculous. And the NCAA, you know, they just kind of pass the buck on this shit. But yeah, that's the only way you can get anything done. And then yesterday, I guess it was, tackily, because it was Veterans Day, was supposed to be National Singles Day or something like that. And you know, anytime they talk about single people, it's all about, especially women, it's all about marriage. It's all about, well, they're not supposed to be single. They're supposed to be married. And all this shit. Now there's outfits that, mostly right-wing outfits. They're concerned about, you know, they're not concerned about birth rates generally. They're concerned about the elite white birth rate plummeting. And the marriage rates are going in the ditch. And have been for years. They've been going in the ditch. Because women don't have to depend on men as much. Even though, granted, it's still heavily rigged. The economy is still heavily rigged against women. So women still are basically coerced into getting married. And all this stuff. In order to have a higher standard of living. But, you know, the whining is all about, well, what about the kids? What about the kids? The kids do better in two-parent households, and we need to get people married. And especially single mothers, get them married. Well, what you're asking women to do is prostitute. That's exactly what you're asking women to do. To go find some guy who will fuck you, and you get material rewards for it. Your kids will get material rewards. They are telling women to go and whore themselves. Far worse than women who are coerced into prostitution, as generally known, because financial pressures are always the reason that women do that, or that they're so abused, have been so abused, that, you know, it's messed them up mentally. That they're coerced into prostitution. But they're asking more respectable women, they're demanding that they do the same thing. Because, after all, it's better for the kids. Oh, it's supposed to be so good. It's supposed to be so good for society. Well, no. No, all of that has been debunked. All of it. But it just gets me that they... And this article just is this more of the same. Why aren't people getting married? Ask women what dating is like. Well, why the hell is it important that... Why do they think that single people, they do nothing but date? It's like a temporary status between marriages. That's what they do. They act like that's all you do. When you're single, and or if you've never been married or whatever, oh, you're out looking for somebody. You have to be out looking for somebody. It's all this bullshit that I thought we shed after the 70s, after the early 70s. We haven't progressed much at all. Not at all. But I'll have you know that marriage rates and birth rates are plummeting all over the world. But for a handful of countries. And the world has 8 billion people. It's not like the human race is going to die out anytime soon unless they keep indiscriminately having kids, and we keep in countries engaging in manufacturing refuse to put any curbs on environmental or on how they do business, that they could just pollute the air however they want, and pollute the water however they want, and wreck the planet in the process. Anyway, yeah, it's like we don't need any more people. That's the last damn thing we need. And this writer talks about, oh, well, they could... She tries to sound like she's supportive of single people. You know, it's more supportive of single people because of all the hand-wringing over their single status, like the two-parent privilege, how Americans stopped getting married and started falling behind. Well, yeah, it's a rigged goddamn country, you idiot. This economist says the kids with two parents fare better on a variety of life outcomes than those raised by single parents, who are overwhelmingly women. So women have to prostitute themselves. That's what the solution is. Prostitute. Find a husband. Prostitute. But the reason is economic. It's not because they're better. It's better to have a man around, a lazy shit who really doesn't do anything. And once a woman lands one of these guys, they end up doing all the goddamn work. It's not that. It's poverty, and it's intentional that women are in poverty. Society does that to coerce them into marriage. But to me, that's what they're telling women to do, is to get married, to provide that economic security. It's prostitution. And it's offensive. Well, yes, it's true that men are a mess. Yeah, it's true. But she doesn't talk about the 300-ton gorilla in the room, and that's pornography. Has absolutely messed men up. A couple of generations of men up. And it's not just, the old Playboy crap of yore. This is stuff that is absolutely perverted, depraved, you name it. And women are being coerced into doing things that actually are putting their own lives at risk. Doing it. Especially the strangulation, the attempted murder is what I call it. The BDSM, that's domestic abuse. They sugarcoat it like it's edgy. No, it's domestic abuse. Beating somebody up is against the law. It's not sexy. It's not edgy. It's not revolutionary. It's assault. And doing all the sexual perversions on women is arguably sexual assault. And attempted murder, strangulation. I'd be scared as shit to go at quote-unquote date, because I wouldn't know whether I was going to live or die. But this author, she talks around the obvious problems here. So porn is a big one. If women really wanted to pair up with a guy. But even a bigger culprit than the porn is the fact that women just don't see anything in it for them to get married and do all that shit, realizing they're going to get dumped on. And frankly, life is a hell of a lot easier, maybe not economically, definitely not economically, but emotionally and every other way easier if you're single. It's a lot easier. But it angers me that people are recommending these outfits like that. What is it? What's that damn outfit? I talked about it before and now I can't even remember what the hell it is. God, Institute for Family Studies. That's a right-wing outfit. And they're so panicky about it because they want to prop up patriarchy. But it's clear that that's what they're trying to do. But what they're advocating here is prostitution, women prostituting. Because marriage has always been the flip side of prostitution. And that's why I oppose it on principle. I'm not going to tell people they can't do it, you know, and all that stuff. But the fact remains that's what it is. And it's dying out. Because women are getting more education. They're having other options now. At least in the first world. But even in other countries, they're not first world countries. They're getting some leverage, however small. And but women have a hell of a long way to go. You know, there's still FGM. There's still child marriages. There's still women can't leave the home without being escorted or being completely covered. So, the poor little baby man just can't get sexually aroused by a woman's bare arm or something. So, I mean, but women are making a little bit of dent in other parts of the world. But the fact that they're getting educated in all this is why the marriage rates are going down. And it's been going, and it's going to continue to decline. And I have made the bold prediction. Of course, I ain't going to be around in 100 years, but I figure at the rate it's going now, marriage will basically evolve out of existence. But the thing is, we still reward women for trading sex for financial support. And God Almighty, I shouldn't even mention this, but I had lunch with my sister and niece and a family friend that was a friend of my late sister. And we were talking about Social Security and all this. But the woman that was the visitor, she found she could get money, a higher benefit, by claiming her ex-husband's Social Security. Okay, not her fault. Not her fault. But Social Security rewards women for trading sex for financial support. Regardless, as long as they're married to the guy for 10 years, they don't want the guy, but hell's bells, this woman gets $2,300 a month Social Security. I get, and I took it early because I had to, I get the after Medicare is deducted. I get $843 a month on Social Security. And then I get a $400 a month Nevada pension. Because, which of course I pay a penalty on the Social Security because of WEP. They haven't repealed WEP yet. And they're still, they're giving a lot of lip service that they're going to do it. But I'll believe it when I see it. So here I get about a little more than a third of what this woman gets. Merely because she married. She got $2,300 a month on her ex-husband's Social Security. And that's actually more than what my nephew gets. He took it early. But he gets something like $1,700 a month. And he hasn't had Medicare take out yet. He's not old enough to get Medicare. But he's doing okay because he worked 35 years in public employment. And so his pension is double, well, more than double what he's getting in Social Security. So he's doing all right. Plus all the other stuff he's gotten through his job. But I had to add that. I'm running way over time here. But that just frosts my ass, how much our society rewards women for doing this. And we're women who, like me, who've worked their whole goddamn lives, are supporting this shit. And we're penalized for not trading sex for financial support. And this woman here, and this writer here, talks about all these supports that we could reverse the decline in marriage if we have all these supports. They don't need. There's no more supports that are necessary. There's already too many damn bennies with marriage. There's already too many. There doesn't need to be any more. The fact of the matter is there's nothing in it for women anymore. And it's going to continue to decline. There's no reversal. There's no going back. And we know this is a big part of why there's a push against abortion. Because they want to get that birth rate up, and they want people to get married and all this other shit. And bring back the 50s. But it's not going back. You can't put the genie back into the bottle. And what they need to do, if you want to look at policy proposals, then they need to look at finding ways to help alleviate poverty among single women in old age, especially never married women. That's important. Those are policy things that deal with reality, not trying to coerce women into legal prostitution. The legal prostitution of marriage. So anyway, on that little note, I've gone way over, oh hell's bells, and I've got to shut up. So that's it.